Hi, this is John Wheeler from the Iowa State Bar Association Center for Law and Civic Education. I want to thank you all for volunteering to judge the Iowa Middle School mock trial competition this year. As you notice, some things are going to be different. Virtual competitions, kind of a weird process, but some things are going to stay the same. We'll have the same great kids. Remember that they're middle school students, so they may be a bit squirrely, but they've been challenged by a legal problem, and I think they've done amazing work to prepare to present both the plaintiff and the defense sides of the case during these preliminary rounds. So thank you again for serving as a judge. I wanted to make this quick video to cover some of the things that will be a little bit different. I know some of you have judged many times before and probably have skipped the judge briefing, but I did want to point out some of the things that you may find in preparation for your service during these virtual rounds. The ballot, the nomination forms, the comment forms will be very familiar to you, but will be done electronically. If this works, we may keep it for our in-person competitions that will hopefully return soon. And I'm going to point those out a little bit later in this presentation. But some of the things are going to look a little bit different. You're going to get an email from me. The first email will cover some of the basics of how to do a virtual mock trial. It will also alert you to a website that we've created just for judges that is one-stop shopping for some of the information and access to those forms that you'll need in order to do your job as a judge. You'll also then get a second email from me with your specific day and time assignments. I want you to take a look at those, make sure that they work in your schedule. If they don't, please give me an email so that I can make other arrangements. Know that we're always looking for well-qualified judges, or even less well-qualified judges. We need more bodies. So if you have friends, colleagues, family members, former mockers that you might know, all of whom might be qualified to serve as a mock trial judge, please encourage them to go online and sign up to help out with this competition. I appreciate that. So the third email that you'll get from me shortly before your competition, hopefully about a day in advance, will include a Zoom link. It may also include a specific courtroom assignment. And this is important because in a lot of instances, we will be using multiple breakout rooms within Zoom as different courtrooms. So when you first log in, everyone will be in a waiting room. And it's my job to sort you all out into the appropriate courtroom or the appropriate breakout room. So the easiest way to do that is if I have given you a courtroom assignment in advance to rename yourself. And I'm going to share the screen, or I'm going to actually show you how to do the renaming process. If you go down to participants, and you'll see that the list of participants, and you can select yourself. You hit the More button, it says rename, and then I can go ahead and rename myself. And I'm going to rename myself as if I was a judge. So the first thing I'm going to do is assume that my courtroom assignment is courtroom 103. I'm going to just put judge in all caps, and then my last name. And then I will hit voila. And all of a sudden, my name has now changed from John Wheeler to 103 Judge Wheeler. That way, when you first pop on, I will see 103 and I'll see that you're a judge, and I will be able to put you in your right courtroom. In some instances, I may not have a courtroom. In those, there may be just a couple of trials going on at the same time, and I'll be able to sort fairly regularly. In one instance, I think we may have as many as 7 trials all going on at the same time, and so it may take just a few moments to sort people. So I ask you to be patient. As you know, we always run on mock trial time. In the past, that's been because I've had to recruit judges at the last minute. In this case, I'm going to have to be sorting teams, kids that may also not have renamed themselves correctly to be able to put them in the proper room. One of the things you can do ahead of time is to check to make sure that you've tested Zoom, so your audio is working well, your video is working well. They always come out with upgrades, and so it may be a good idea to update your Zoom app if you're using a Zoom app. You can use your PC, you can use a laptop, you can use a tablet device. I would recommend not using a phone to judge the competition, mostly because the phone's connectivity won't be that great. And if you are going to take my advice and try to complete the ballot as you go along, you may not be able to toggle between the Zoom courtroom screen and your ballot screen as easily as you might hope. So go ahead and make that update. Find a good device to use. If you've got a way to increase your connectivity, like directly through a modem, that would be great. Otherwise, Wi-Fi works. Sometimes we have some technical issues. Well, we're going to have technical issues anyways, but sometimes we'll have technical issues with if everyone is on Wi-Fi. So if at all possible, find a good quiet spot that you can camp out and enjoy a trial. If you've got access to multiple screens, here in my office, if I'm using my laptop that's hooked in the modem, I actually have 3 different screens. So it would be possible for me to have my ballot, my comment forms, and the Zoom all up at the same time. That's not necessary. If you've got 2 screens, that's great because you can have the ballot or the comment forms up or both, and you can toggle between the 2 of them. But even if you have 1 screen, as long as you don't fill the entire screen with the Zoom, you can still complete those ballots and comment forms as you go on. We have created as I mentioned, a website for you. Let me see about sharing the screen so that you can see what this is all about. All right, so we have created this Judge's Guide mock trial, middle school mock trial program website just for you. It includes case materials. That is the entire case for this year's problem. It's a civil action stemming from a fire at a nightclub. You don't necessarily have to print the entire case out. It's probably about 80 to 90 pages, but the materials are there for you if you need them. Similarly with the rules and procedures, they're accessible to you, but believe me, the students will point out any possible rule or procedure issues that might come up. One thing I have done though is done a separate post of the case exhibits. Because we're using Zoom, it may be kind of difficult for students to enter exhibits into evidence, or they'll be referring to exhibits that they won't be able to hand you. And so I've asked them to refer to exhibits by number, and then you can find them within those case exhibits. I judged a couple of mock trials earlier this summer virtually, and I found it was very helpful to print out those exhibits ahead of time so that I could have access to them. When they referred to Exhibit 5, I was able to go straight to Exhibit 5 on my desk so that I had that in front of me. The scoring criteria has not changed, even though it's virtual, but I would point out a couple of important points. We have allowed the teams to choose the structure of their presentation. There's basically 3 different ways that they could present a case virtually on Zoom. One would be to have all the students within the same room, use a wide-angle lens and a good microphone, and conduct the trial as if they were in a courtroom. Some schools, however, don't allow for the students to gather all at the same place at the same time. Some schools will require that they wear masks if they are in the same place at the same time. So some schools may do a hybrid method, which is some of the students will be in one room and other students will be somewhere else. And they will have multiple devices or multiple cameras and multiple microphones. Some of them may be all distant, all at home. Or all in different locations, and they will all zoom in together. The point is, we are not evaluating students based on the mode of their presentation. Some of them may do a better job because of their familiarity of their surroundings. Some of them may be interrupted by a family pet or a brother or sister. Some of them may have technical difficulties. The way they Zoom should not impact your scoring. the competence of their presentation and the convincing method of their portrayals as witnesses and things like that is what you should keep in mind. So so if they're wearing a mask or they're using a structure that you're not happy with, again, remember A, that they're middle school students, and B, that they may have they may be forced to be doing a presentation in a certain way due to COVID regulations or their school's public health requirements. But you will have access to the ballot, to the comment form. I've also had done a sample script for presiding judges, a naming protocol. We've got how to Zoom. There's going to be another, there should be another presentation up here, a video on the major judge briefing as well. But I wanted to go over the ballot and the comment forms with you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the mock trial ballot. That should bring up something else. You can see that it's been constructed virtually with various drop-down boxes. One of the other things that you should definitely download and print out are the roster forms. So we're going to tell you in advance which teams you're going to see, which team will be P, which team will be D, the codes for those particular schools. There should be a list of all of the codes, and one for plaintiff, one for defense. If you know you're judging team ABC versus XYZ, ABC is plaintiff, print out the plaintiff ABC roster. If you are seeing XYZ as defense, go ahead and search that drop down and find team XYZ as defense and print out their roster. Have those rosters in front of you because that will allow you to follow along and put the right student's name in the right spot. So here, you'll be able to put down within drop-down boxes the actual team code. We don't have an ABC or an XYZ, but you can just pick among these ones. They toggle all the way down. There are 80-some teams participating, so it is a fairly long choice, but they are alphabetized. Similarly, you would have to do the same thing with the defense code, where you would enter a defense code there. The rounds, preliminary rounds, that's not as important. That's going to be important for the state competition. For preliminary rounds, if it's the team's first round, go ahead and put round 1 or round 2, and we'll be able to figure this out. It does ask for your name, first name, last name, a phone number, and an email, and those are required mostly because I won't be able to check with you as you leave your mock trial room assignment. And in case there's any questions, any problems with ballots or comment forms, that way I have a chance to be able to email you quickly or phone to get some additional information. So please give your name, your phone number, and your email. And then we get down to the ballot itself. If you select team ALH as plaintiff and the second one was ARO as defense, you'll notice that it self-populates in the plaintiff and defense code, and then you're on your way for plaintiff's opening. It allows you to have numerical values from 0 to 10 by half points. Remember, in Iowa, we welcome half points. I used to be a stickler about no half points until I started judging a lot, and then I realized the miracle of half points. So that's it's half points where I think if you watch Christina's video about judging, she'll recommend to you that the average score at the regional competition is about a 6.5. So start out with that 6.5. If they are better than average, go up. If they're struggling a little bit, go down, reserving those 0 to 4 for really struggling performances, and also reserving the 9s, 9.5s, and 10s for, wow, that was really good. It's going to follow the same process, just like our normal ballots, our written ballots. So it's going to have the plaintiff's first witness. You can select the character name of the plaintiff witness, and then give the attorney the score for direct, the witness the score for direct, the defense cross-examiner their score, and the witness for the cross-examination. So we, again, in Iowa, we have double witness scores as well. So you'll complete that during the plaintiff's case in chief, again, during the defense case in chief. We'll have closing arguments, and again, same deal with the point total 0 to 10 by half points. So you can give the score that you think the student merits in all of that. Finally, again, remember in Iowa, we have a separate team score, 0 to 10, based on your overall impression of the team. This can also be served as a tiebreaker. One of the great things about this online ballot is that as you complete the scores up above, the total scores right here will start to self-populate. So you're going to see if you put second cross-examination, and we give that student a 7.5, and then we go down here, that team, where is it? Should have 7.5. I don't know why that didn't self-populate. I think it has to do with all of the team scores. But anyways, it should self-populate. You may have to do your own math. We don't allow for ties, so this is the great place to check your math. Check your math. If one team is slightly ahead, please don't give them team scores that make it tied. If the teams, however, are tied, go ahead and break the tie by giving one team half a point more than the other team, or as many points more that you think, but as long as it breaks that tie. It should self-populate for the plaintiff total, and it'll give us the result. I also want to direct your attention to the bottom of this score sheet for in the same way that we've had outstanding witnesses and outstanding attorneys on our written ballot. This is your chance to do that same thing. It'll be attorney 1, 2, 3, and it'll be whether it was the plaintiff or defense. Again, you'll have the team codes above, and if you print the rosters out and follow along, you will know which students are doing which parts, and then be able to make the right nominations for the appropriate students. Just as we've had with our written ballots, this is a request, not a requirement. You can nominate up to 3 attorneys. You can nominate up to 3 witnesses. So if you just want to put one student's name total, that's fine. If you choose not to nominate anyone, we ask you to go down here to this type initials here. If no nomination desired, just go ahead and type your initials or type your last name, and then go ahead. You're done with the ballot. When it's all completed, you hit submit. If all of the forms that are required are not filled in, it will not let you hit submit. So you'll have to go back up and see, oh, I forgot to fill some things in, and then try again. So that takes care of the score sheet. As soon as your trial is over, or if you've been scoring as the trial goes along, you should be able to hit submit fairly quickly. Those will come directly to my email, so I'll be able to, A, know that the trial is over, and B, be able to check the math and make sure that there aren't any issues. But you'll notice the one thing that is missing from our normal ballot are the comment forms. So let me go back up here to the website, and we know that we have created a separate comment form that is going to look a lot like the comment forms from our normal ballot. It allows you to put, again, the plaintiff code, the defense code, which round it was, your name, your phone number, your email, and then be able to write or type comments about specific performance, just like you would do in our in-person trials, where you'd be writing furiously, especially if you're a evaluating judge and not the presider. You can write lots of comments. I think we tested this, or we had someone test it for us, and they copied and pasted Lincoln's second inaugural address into the comment box. It accommodates that. So you can type as much as you like. I would prefer you not to type that much, but you can give as many comments or as few comments to the students as you need. This one also, if you're going to refer to your roster and go ahead and type a student's name, if you just type a first name or a last name would probably be preferable. That way we are able to give the students the feedback they deserve. At some point, the comment forms and the ballot forms will be forwarded to the team coach so that they can share them with their students the same way they have in the past with the print ballots that we have used. So there's that. Let me see what else there is from the. All right. So I want to talk about the script that we have. It's just a sample script. It's actually notes for a presiding judge to deal with getting things started. After I typed this up, I noticed that there were a couple things that were missing. So if at all possible, please include the following. Number one, make sure that everybody is actually here. In some trials, we will have a courtroom liaison or a trial administrator who is in your room. They'll serve as a bailiff, and they will actually make sure that everybody is there. We didn't get the volunteers that we were hoping for, so the presiding judge may have to ask and make sure that all the participating members of a team are actually there and are present and ready to go. Number two, and most importantly, is to ask the students or the coaches if there have been any changes to the roster since they were submitted. Do take some time to make sure that you cover who's doing what part so that you get that right on your ballot, and you get that right when you're making your nominations. You get that right when you're writing comments to specific students. So do take some time to make sure that the rosters are correct. They were correct at the time they were submitted, but some teams, because of various health issues or logistical issues, may have had to make some last minute changes. And then third, one of the things that I completely forgot until one of the coaches reminded me gently about this is we need to ask if both teams are okay with trial recordings. Zoom actually allows people to record a meeting or a trial on their personal computer or on the web. Any participant can do it. They just go to the bottom of their screen and they hit record, and voila. We have in the past allowed for parents or coaches to tape trials with video cameras, but only if both teams agree. And I know that we have at least a couple of teams that are involved in the competition to whom videotaping would violate school privacy issues for the students. So simply ask ahead of time, are all of the students, all the teams involved okay with the trial being recorded? And if one of the teams says, no, we can't, please make the admonishment that you would request that no one is taping the trial. Even if they're surreptitiously taping the trial, they should not be publishing them to any type of website or anything that's publicly accessible. But my preference would be if a team says no, our policy has to be no. So I'm hoping that you will help enforce that. All right, so let's get out of the sharing screen. And just a couple of more general things. Make sure at the end of the trial that all of the judges who are involved have submitted your ballots and your nominations, that you do fill out those comment forms. If you're running late to another meeting, or you have another engagement, or you're signed up to judge yet another mock trial and you don't have time to fill out the comment forms can follow later, as long as they follow at some point. And that may be one of the reasons why I call or email you, because I have your ballot, but I don't have any comment forms. And I'll gently remind you that we need those as well. But you can submit the ballot right away. You can take your time with the comment forms. You can also feel free to give some general oral critique. Take a look at your watch. If the trial seems to be running long, know that some of these teams have opted to have back-to-back trials. So they're going to want to get out of one of the Zoom trials and then get back into another Zoom trial fairly quickly. So keep those comments brief. If the trial went very, very quickly and you've got a few more constructive things to tell to the students, then go ahead and take a little bit more time. But just know that Zoom fatigue is a real thing, and there's only so much time people are willing to sit in a meeting, and especially if they're middle school students and they want to go and join their friends. Let me just quickly address one of the more important topics, and that is what happens if there's technical problems. If you as a judge have a technical problem, we've got an issue. Um, I will be in the waiting room. So at any time you can pop out of your courtroom just by hitting the leave button, and it'll ask you to just leave this courtroom or breakout room or leave the entire session. Just leave the breakout room and you can come and chat with me. If you're having connectivity issues, usually the best thing to do, and I will advise you the best thing to do, is to log off and then jump back on the trial, and we'll pick up exactly where you left off. If one of the teams is having a serious issue, give them as much time as they need to kind of try to get that figured out, get access. We have allowed teams this year to have an extra team member. The team member can be an adult, the team member can be an older student, it could be one of their own teammates as alternates to serve as a team manager or a technical advisor. So if they need to do something on their end to retrieve the correct technical information, then let them do that. We should have plenty of time between the various trials, and so that we will be able to allow for some technical remedies. There is a fail-safe, and that is there's always a phone-in option for Zoom. If their video is horrible or their audio is horrible, they can always hit that call-in function. I will let them into your courtroom, and then they can proceed with their presentations basically over the phone. But we're hoping that if it's something serious like that, alternates can step in, or we can resolve the issue without much problem. When you're finished with the trial, if you have, again, a trial coordinator or a bailiff in your trial, they will remind you to fill out your ballots and submit them. They will remind all of the participants to go ahead and sign out. And then if you do not have a trial coordinator, that's up to the judges yourselves to be able to just end the trial and invite people to leave the courtroom and then go ahead and leave the Zoom function for this time. Let me just make a quick change, make sure that we have everything we need. We talked about the waiting room. We talked about renaming yourself. We talked about having any problems. The timing for the trials has not changed. The same trials, the same times are as if it were an in-person trial. Some teams may struggle a bit with the sharing screen function if they want to show a demonstrative or share an exhibit so a witness can look at it not just in their hands, but also on the screen. If that takes a little bit of extra time and you think that it was a technical problem instead of a presentation problem, you have it within your authority to grant additional time. But be protective of both teams and be protective of, be aware of the overall time that the trial is taking. We've tried to stack as many trials as possible at increments during every day, 8:30, noon, 3:30, and 6. And so if a team does have to go again, or there's another trial that needs that Zoom platform, we can't have trials going too long. But I've seen enough scrimmages now that I think the students should be comfortable with the process, and I think everything should run smoothly. I just want to again thank you for joining us on this adventure. I've spent since March, when we shut down the high school program, trying to figure out a way that we could still have these students do these great things. Spent a lot of time also working with the national competition to give guidances and advice to other state coordinators who are trying the same thing in their own programs. So we put a lot of thought, a lot of effort in this, and I have no idea what to expect. This could be a great opportunity for kids. It could also be a miserable failure. I'm counting on you to try to get it to be the former rather than the latter. So again, thank you for your participation this year. Thank you for saying yes. You can enjoy yourself in comfort. You don't have to drive to regional competitions, and you can still give kids the encouragement and the praise that they need and they deserve for even trying these things. Middle school students are amazing creatures. And I can call them that because I had a former middle school student who's now a sophomore in high school. They are able to step up to challenges as they are presented. Um, and originally, you know, the middle school mock trial cases were a lot easier than the high school students, and they did so well. And over the years, the middle school cases have gotten to be more and more complicated, so they rival the state high school competitions. In fact, oftentimes I adapt another state's high school case for our middle school program. And this year's middle school case is actually a rerun, a best of, a greatest hit of a former Iowa high school case that we have not changed much to. And so they really are doing amazing stuff. So go ahead, feel free to heap praise on them, give them the scores they deserve, the comments that they need, and then go ahead and enjoy your participation. If you have any questions, comments, observations, feel free to email them to me at jwheeler.iowabar.org, jwheeler@iowabar.org, or call my cell phone or text my cell phone or my office phone. That contact information is also listed on that judge website that I mentioned. So again, thank you for making this day possible for the students. And I hope that you have a great time as well. Thanks so much.